Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Laurent Macquart. Today we're going to do a tag, and I'm kind of secretly hoping filming this tag won't take that long because I have a bread in the oven and I'm hungry. Sorry for the wet hair, came back from a ride. So the tag that I'm doing is the book reviewer tag, and I was tagged to do this by Laura from Laura Reads Pages. I'll tag her video and the video of the original creator down below. And I like this tag because it's about reviewing books and how you review books, and I had never really thought about that more actively. It's something that it just evolved the way it evolved, and I'm not actively doing it. So it was good to think about some of these questions some more. The first question is, where do you post your book reviews outside of BookTube? So I have an Instagram account, Bookstagram account, and I haven't really been using it I don't really have a system for it, and I'd like to have more of a system, but I've actually been struggling with, I don't want to post stuff on Instagram and then also repeat it on BookTube, because I already have the impression that sometimes I'll talk about a book twice, because I talk about it in my wrap-up video, and I'll also talk about it in, for example, if it's a book that I'm also reading for my Reading Around the World project, I'll already talk about it twice. So it feels like also posting it on Instagram, although I'm following different people, it's a different groups maybe to a certain extent. It shouldn't feel double, but sometimes it does feel like I'm doing that twice. So what I usually do on Instagram is that I post a small summary of what I know the book is about before I start reading it. But that's not really a review, and I do want to get into that more, but I still need to find a system that I don't feel like I'm doing stuff double all the time. I don't know how to do it in a way that adds to my experience, adds to the way I think about books, adds to finding new people to connect with. So yeah, I'm still kind of struggling about that, and this question made me realize that. So then we've got the second question, what is your star rating system? So I'm assuming the star rating system is the system on Goodreads, at least that's what it is for most of us, where we keep track of the books that we read and we also give them a certain amount of stars. And there are 5 stars to give, and like most of the people I know, I wish there were more options. I mean, the difference between 4 stars and 5 stars, the difference between 4 stars and 5 stars, or 3 stars and 4 stars, it's huge. So yes, as a lot of people, I kind of wish there were also half stars, but the reason I don't, for myself, formulate the half stars is that a couple of years ago when I was rowing, I had to indicate every day before or after the training how I felt, and we had to give it 1, 2, 3, or 4. And because I was stubborn, I started giving also half numbers. So I would go 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, etc. And before long, I was doing quarter points as well. So I was also giving myself a 2.75. And then I started doing decimals. So I would do 2.8, 2.9. And then I would start doing 2.12. So wait, 2.81 and 2.82. So it was never enough. It just, numbers will always be limiting. So I know for myself that whether I'd had half stars or whole stars or less, it would never be enough. I'd still find, I'd still need a way to differentiate between this book and that book, because I might in the stars give them the same rating, but I still won't feel the same about them. And numbers just won't match that. So yes, I use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star system, where 1 star is bleh, why didn't I DNF it? 2 is also bleh, why didn't I DNF it, but still kind of I kind of see positives somewhere. 4 is, okay, fine, no, nothing very special, it's good, but not, 4 is, I really liked it, and 5 is, I loved it, but I feel sometimes, I actually looked at the books that I gave ratings to the last couple of years yesterday, and there are books that now I see, like, why did I give this 4 star, this would more be a 5 star, or that I look at the amount of 5 stars I gave, they're not over the top, and I wish that was how I'd use my 5 stars. It's very on the moment. There's some moments where I will be more generous. So yeah, it fluctuates, but maybe that's okay as well. Then we've got the third question. Convince me to read a favorite book of yours in no more than 5 words. So for me, that book, and I'm afraid to say I only got 4 words, is Circus, Magic, Love, Atmospheric. And I kind of feel like I should use a 5th word, so we're going to add love, another one, where one is love about the characters and one is love about my feelings. That makes sense. 4th question. Which book was the hardest to review and why? So there are 2 types of books. I don't really see one book of that, but there are 2 types of books. There are books that, while reading, I realize, or I've been realizing now more, that the reason I don't love them or appreciate them is just simply because I'm not the target audience. So for example, Their Eyes Are Watching God by Noah Zilhurston. I read that 2 years ago, I think, with my book club, and I just wasn't liking it. But the reason I wasn't liking it is because I didn't get the references, because the book is just not written for a privileged white girl. And that's fine, but that made it hard also to decide what I found about the book. And I ended up, I don't know how many stars I gave it or how I ended up feeling about the book, but I realized that my opinions on that book are not what matters. And the second type of the book that I sometimes find hard to review hardest to review are books that the topic is very interesting and very important, but the writing just hasn't been really well done, or the structure isn't really well done, because I feel like you just want the book to be so much more that it kind of hurts to say, yeah, no, sorry, you were just not that great. Then we've got the 5th question. Are there any books you won't review or give a star rating to out of principle? So, no. I just always give it a star because for me, the star rating that I give to it or that I review, it's always a representation of what I think about it. And it's up to other people to decide. I mean, the aim of me giving it a star rating is not to influence others to read it or not. It's just for me to have an idea when I look back 5 years after having read a book what I felt about it. It's just one way to look at it. What question am I now? A book, 6th question. A book you really want to read has terrible reviews. Do you still read it? Yes, if I really want to read it, if it's something, for example, last year, Erin Morgenstern's The Starless Sea came out, and I had loved her previous book, which might be the answer to that question about my favorite book. And I knew I wanted to read it. And my expectations were so high that I knew I wanted to read it. Even if people would have said no, I still would have wanted to read it. But the only influence that would have is that I would temper my expectations. But especially if I'm really curious, if I've been waiting for it for a while, I will still read it. There is a difference though with, for example, also the 3rd book of the King Chronicles series by Patrick Rothfuss. Yes, I've been waiting for that. I am going to read it. But there are books that I will not read, even though I still love the series, which is not the question, but I'm still going to talk about it, are books that I feel that the series is just done, that the world is done, and I don't want to know more about it because it feels like the world is just being perpetuated because it's a way to make money. The Cursed Child might be an example of that. So yeah. Then we are at the 7th question. Where do you view book videos outside of BookTube, and what is your preferred format? So long, short video written. I read reviews on Goodreads, which is one of the questions that I will get to later. I read reviews also on Instagram and also on TV. There are shows that I watch, talk shows usually, where someone will come talk about their book, and usually they're pretty good books, and it also gives me an idea of the books that are important here, and it also gives me an idea of the books that are here in the Netherlands. So yeah, and I usually like it when they're pretty short. I prefer visual, like videos, to written things, because with written text, I have although I love to read. With a written review, somehow I have it leaves less of an impression on me than when I see someone talking about it. And because I spend a lot of time on BookTube and reading reviews, and I get a lot of input of possible books, then I need them to stand out a little bit, and having someone being enthusiastic about that works a lot better for me. 8th question. At one point, do you view the reviews of a book you are reading? And do you seek out reviews similar to your own or opposing? So I read reviews before getting the book, when I'm still trying to get an idea of whether I'm going to like it or not. And then I don't look at them just before I'm actually going to start, because I like to kind of have forgotten what the book is about and what people find of the book. And then depending on the book, depending on how much I'm sucked in, and this will be whether I love it or not, or whether I'm understanding something or being frustrated or not. Anything can happen, and there's probably going to be a moment that I'm going to just go on Goodreads and see what are other people thinking of this, or what are the people that I'm following thinking of this book. There's just always this moment, often, not always, this moment that I also want to be open for things that I'm not seeing or I'm not feeling, because if I only afterwards read a review where someone makes a point like, oh yeah, I didn't notice, I'm gonna miss it in the book as well. So I like to sometimes know that. I like to have these opposing views. So yeah, I like opposing views. And I'll also, when I finally finished a book and I marked it as read on Goodreads, then I'll also scroll to see what other people have thought, because by then I usually will have forgotten from having looked at it halfway through. But what I don't do, and what I maybe should, is look at, and that's where this tag made me think about this, I like videos more than reading. So why don't I, after having read a book, go watch videos about it? Because then also I'll be able to talk about with those people. That's one thing that I hope to maybe start doing a little bit more, because I think I'll enjoy it. The 9th and 10th question I really like, because they're about looking at your Goodreads rating and comparing them to others. So the 9th question is, which book have you read with the lowest rating on Goodreads that you love? Let me go grab the book. Yes, it's Sunday. I'm in my chill day outfit. So the book is Quartet by Anna Enquist, and I really love this book. It's about for people that are in a string instrument quartet, and but there's also a thriller going on, and they all have very different positions in life, and they're struggling with different things. And I loved it. I loved it because of the music. I loved it because of the role that people have. And apparently on Goodreads, it only has 3.31, and that's not great. And I understand it, because it doesn't go very deep, and the thriller part, I liked it, but it's still kind of out of nowhere. So I get it, but I just wished it would be bumped up like 0.5 other points, maybe. So yeah, Quartet. I love you, but I might also just love this because it's about playing string instrument, and I just love my violin, although I haven't touched it for ages. Last question. Which book have you read with the highest rating on Goodreads that you hated? I did not get along, and I really did not like, and I don't know why I finished, Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. It's the first Neil Gaiman that I read, and I know more people did not really like it, but it still has a high rating on Goodreads that I did not write down, but I'll pop it up here on the screen somewhere. And I just don't understand. It really wasn't very well written. I'm still confused. So yeah. Those were the 10 questions of the tag. I'm not going to tag anyone. I just want people, if you like this tag, then to just do it and tell me. I don't feel like tagging someone today. Please forgive me. I am still thinking of you in my heart. Thank you for watching. If you have any opinions about any of this and you're like, I need to talk, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Now I can finally go have my lunch. Okay, bye.